risk worth the reward? That really is what it comes down to when analyzing what took place yesterday in Sacramento. And I say yesterday, recording this the day after, Eury Perez was seeking perfection while the Miami Marlins were playing the A's out in Sacramento. Eury Perez had 7 perfect innings, did so in 92 pitches, but when it came time for the 8th inning, manager Clayton McCullough had already made the decision. The risk wasn't worth the reward, so Clayton pulled Eury Perez with an 8-0 lead. The Marlins ended up winning the game 9-8. That's another story. I'm going to focus here on the decision to take a pitcher out when he is 6 outs away from either a perfect game or still the possibility of a no-hitter. And someone, back in my days working at MLB.com, I covered the Marlins for almost 20 years, and I covered 5 no-hitters, including 1 perfect game. I covered the no-hitters back in 2006 of Anibal Sanchez, 2013 Henderson Alvarez, and 2017 Edison Volquez. In 2010, I covered Roy Halladay, was with the Phillies. He threw the perfect game here in Miami at the football stadium where the Dolphins now play. And the final game of the 2014 season in Washington, Jordan Zimmerman no-hit the Marlins. I covered all 5 of those games. So when you look at this situation, I think that they should allow him the opportunity to go out there and take the ball and try to become just the 25th pitcher in history of the sport to throw a perfect game. There's been 24 perfect games in the history of Major League Baseball, 327 no-hitters. Now, I get it. I'm not going to trash the Marlins or Clayton McCullough totally on this because I get it. There's pros and cons and where we are as a sport, but this is the reason why. I wrote down some reasons why you pull Eury. And 1 third start coming back from an injury. Teams in the playoff hunt. They're up 8-0. Figuring that the game's in hand. And again, you want Eury for the long haul, but obviously we're playing it safe. But this is, to me, and this is what you're not going to get anywhere else, is, make no mistake, this is the manager trying to save his job. Because the industry has gone so far into the analytic corner and playing it safe and playing probabilities that it's taken the individual moments of greatness away, unless you can do a perfect game in 92 pitches. So, but ultimately, the manager, and we don't know if there was a phone call saying take him out anyway. McCullough told the media post-game he was looking for 90-ish pitches anyway, so safe to say that. But when you sit around and say, why are we sports fans? What do we enjoy about sports at the highest levels? Is the quest for greatness. It's the quest to stand out, to stand above. So again, I get it, but here's a manager playing it safe with the player, and I get it. The people will argue if he sends him out and he gets hurt, then we'd be blaming McCullough. Well, I wouldn't be, but some will because of where we are as an industry. So I'm going to tackle some of the reasons why he should have done it as well. When I say why he should have done it as well, what do I mean? I mean why McCullough should have allowed Eury to take the ball and at least go batter to batter to see if he could either throw the no-hitter, secondly, perfect game at the forefront. Simply put is the rarity, and as a player, you may never get this opportunity again to be in a situation so special. You could join an exclusive club. It is career-changing and legacy-making if he throws a perfect game, as well as thrills for the fan base of saying, hey, this is part of the greatness of this player, or if the season turns into a playoff season for the Marlins, where you could say, man, this was kind of a real highlight moment. Why do you do anything? If you're an athlete, you're striving for greatness. You're trying to get every hitter you face out. You face 21 batters, none of them reach base via hit or error. I think he struck out 9. The total numbers don't really matter. It's over the overarching decision to pull him. So again, to me, I at least let him do it. You got to take the training wheels off. He's 23 years old. He's not 21 anymore. You allow it. 2 is something that, again, you're not going to hear many people talk about this, but I'm not afraid to go into areas where people, they toe the line. There's earning power, and there's additional revenues from the player standpoint that he gets if on his resume is a perfect game and or a no-hitter. What do I mean by that? Hall of Famers right now, in terms of something simple as autograph, for autograph signings. When you are a Hall of Famer, your earning power goes up, where you could be either marketed in advertising, autographs, appearances, so forth. It's important for these players. It's important for their legacies. I'll give the quick example of Mark Gastineau and Brett Favre. People might remember in the NFL when Brett Favre, the last game of the year and one of the last series of the year, he called a rollout pass. Michael Strahan, friend of his, was tied with Gastineau for the single season sack record. Favre lets Gastineau, they basically orchestrate where they let Gastineau get through, and Favre basically dies, doesn't try to escape it. Strahan gets the sack, sets the record. Mark Gastineau had held that record for a couple of decades. Well, Mark Gastineau wasn't making the elite money. Yes, he made good money in his playing days in the 80s and 90s, but not like the players today. He, in appearances and such, was making extra revenue by being able to say he was the all-time sack leader, single season sack leader. That was taken away from him. So I know many fans might think that's petty, but to these athletes know what it also can mean for arbitration and so forth. Let's look at just the grooming of players. Obviously, at the pro level now, everyone is controlled. These pitchers today are being groomed not to throw more than 100 pitches. That is an arbitrary number, but could Eury have gone to 120 pitches? Well, you can make the case, the All-Star break's coming up. You could give him extended days off. When I was covering Anibal's no-hitter, the pitching coaches were talking to the manager, and they were thinking of days off during the week, maybe, push a start date back, do something to allow that player to have the opportunity to put his name in the record books. So there were ways to doing it. But I get it. Eury's not groomed yet. He's never thrown a complete game. And these pitchers today, so from a player standpoint, and I know there's a labor dispute that's on the horizon, these pitchers are groomed not to go 9. They're groomed to be controlled in 5 to 6 inning windows, or even 4 innings. In some cases, for a start, is good enough. So they're out of the ball game. It's all plug and play from a fan perspective, enjoyment. Maybe people like it. Maybe people are all happy about it and good for them. But to me, turn offense. Why watching a baseball game at the big league level is not much different to me than watching a high school game, because I'm seeing effort and all this stuff going on at the high school game. And it's more authentic, and it's pretty fun. We can look at the college baseball season. Tyler Fay at the University of Alabama this past season threw a no-hitter against the University of Florida. 132 pitches. He did. So we've seen the college pitcher go to 132. The high school state playoffs, and in general, high school's 105 pitches is the max. Gio Rojas, the great pitcher from Stoneman Douglas, who we will talk about, I'll do another podcast like this before the draft, will be a top overall, projects to be. Until it happens, it hasn't happened. Stoneman Douglas, 105 pitches in the state championship game, 6 2/3 innings, 1 out away from a complete game, 1 hit shutout, in his team winning its 3rd straight state title. Gio had to come out of the game because he hit the 105 threshold. That's 13 more pitches, or 12 more pitches than 13, 92 Eury had. So Eury didn't even get through 8 innings. And who knows? He was going well. He could have gotten into there. 120, is that unreasonable? I could even point out that, and I admire Gio for wanting the ball, wanting to be out there, and he just built on his legacy. Mason McGeehan at American Heritage, even though they didn't win this game, they lost 1-0 in 11 innings, I believe, was 11 or 12 innings. I think it was 11. But Mason came in the second inning because there was a lightning delay that delayed the game for like almost 3 hours. He threw 8+ no-hit innings. Didn't get a run, 8+, but he had to come out of the game against Bishop Moore in the, ninth inning? Ninth or top of the 10th inning, because of pitch count. But both of those guys threw more than what Eury did. Again, I'm not going to smash the Marlins too much. I get it. I just think from a sport appreciation, you want to see excellence. You want to see guys do things that have very rarely happened. And yes, could he have been hurt? Yes, but that's where we are right now. Everything is so risk adverse. There's no guarantee that he won't get hurt in his next start or the next start after that. So you cherish the moment, and this is what actually grows the game. I guess you can make the argument you could, pitch great in the playoffs and build your legacy that way as well, no doubt. But all we can deal with was this yesterday was a moment where Eury Perez could have put himself among the greatest performances in history of the sport. Instead, no one will remember it after this podcast. So with that, thanks for tuning in. Check out all the content here on the Man on Second channel. It's summertime. It's July for what we do. The baseball side, the high school, amateur side is kind of dying down. But things will be picking up pretty soon as the travel season kind of wraps up. I'm already out there watching guys taking BP, throwing bullpens, and so forth. So content will keep coming. But what are your thoughts? Message. If you think I'm wrong, off base, tell me so in the comments. We'll do so. In the meantime, thanks for tuning in. Check everybody tuning in, and we will see everybody in the next video.